Hey there, it's it's not 2 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. And let's see, share to your group. No, oh wait, hold on. I've got to do this first. Hang on, you always have to wait until, okay, there we go. It is Tuesday, 5 o'clock. And you know what time that is? It means it's time for Hymns with Glenda. And I've got a whole list of requests that people made today, and I'm so thankful for that. And you know, when I say your name, that you requested it, it really blesses my heart because it makes me think of how we're connected and our friendship and how it's grown. And you all mean so much to me from all different parts of the United States, and I appreciate your requests. We're going to start the first one, though, with one my son requested last week, and I thought he was joking. So he said, play When Morning Gilds the Sky. And I was thinking, okay, didn't he hear that story? Or maybe he was joking because he did hear the story about how when I was young, my mom wanted me to learn to play hymns. And so she said, I'll give you a quarter for every hymn that you learn out of the hymn book. And I went, oh, that sounds great. But she said, you have to start with page 1. And page 1 is When Morning Gilds the Sky. And that's why I didn't get too many quarters, because that was a hard song for me to learn as a kid. And then Lance said, oh, it's on page number 1 in the Fairview Baptist hymnal that we used in Alabama. And sure enough, I got Daddy's, Roger, my husband's, old Fairview hymn book out, and I turned to page 1, and it is. It must have been the same one that we used later on in Joliet when I was growing up. But so this is for Lance, and I'm going to play When Morning Gilds the Sky. There you go. So I'm going to set that aside. I have a friend, Brandon, in Arizona, who requested Lead Me to Calvary. Gary and I sang at a nursing home this afternoon, and we always plug Hymns with Glenda, and I said, mistakes and all, and Gary goes, she doesn't make any mistakes. Yeah, just listen to the first song. Okay, so that was for Brandon in Arizona. This is for Linda, God Will Take Care of You. Tina. This next one is for Kevin Turner in memory of his dad, Lawrence Turner. I took over as principal at Harristown Elementary School after Larry Turner retired, and he said this is one of his favorite songs, Sweet Hour of Prayer. This is for you, Kevin. My good friend down the road, Maureen, requested On Eagle's Wings. Hi, Barb. That's based on Psalm 91, I believe. Okay, the next one is Charlotte, my friend in Michigan, and she wants Sheltered in the Arms of God. This next one's for Nina. I went to elementary school with her. We lived in the Decatur area in Illinois. She lived in Lincoln, Illinois, never knew it. She moved out to Pennsylvania, and I don't know if our paths will ever cross, but she requested 3 songs, and the first one is Take My Life and Let It Be. There's not a friend like a lowly Jesus. Hi, Virginia. Will you please add your beautiful singing? I considered that, but I don't think I'm going to do that tonight. Maybe next time. Let's see. There's not a friend like, no, not one. other one she requested, I have played before, and I had the music for it, and I'm going to try to do it. I wish Gary was here to sing it because he really does a good job. But it's called I Can Only Imagine. And then Karen, my friend who I sang in a trio in Minnesota, Karen, I want to come and see you someday, and I will. Don't hold your breath, but I really would love to get together with you again. And she has requested Day by Day. requested, "No one ever cared for me like Jesus." My good friend Loretta, who goes to church with me, and she's my traveling buddy when we go to Alabama, has requested, "Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus." Hi, Lance. You have to listen from the beginning to hear me say your name. Sarah, who used to live in this area and now lives in with their daughter up north someplace, has requested this song. I don't know if anybody knows it. "Almost Persuaded." I think it was written about, was it King Agrippa, who said to Paul or Peter, "You've almost persuaded me to be a Christian." You might look this up to see what the words are. And this next one is Tanisha. I was so glad to see you request some 2 songs you asked for. Victory in Jesus. Let's see. Hey, Vanessa, I see you. Did you request one? I can't remember if you did. If you did, type it in the comments. Let me see. Okay, and Tanisha had, it was so good to see you on Facebook. Thank you. Old Rugged Cross. Vanessa, my friend in Canada, I've known her for a long time. She, I don't know, somehow found the Wealthy Family CDs or cassette tapes or mine. Somehow found them and called me up. She called me from Canada and she'd go, Mrs. Weldy, listen to me play this song. And her mom would hold the phone and she would play a song, and now she's married and she's got 2 kids. But this is for her at Calvary. And my friend from Alabama, Sweet Diane, oh, I love her so much. She requested In the Sweet By and By, and somebody else did too. Marianne from, I think it's Green Valley area, requested a couple songs. So this is for Diane and Marianne from, I think it's Green Valley. That Marianne from Green Valley requested was Onward Christian Soldiers. I know we're going a little long, but if you don't want to listen to me, turn me off and tune back in to YouTube, Hymns with Glenda. But I don't think I've ever done the Rudy Atwood arrangement of Onward Christian Soldiers. I haven't practiced this for ages, so I may flub up. What's new? we all get to heaven. This evening is from my good friend Leslie. She lives in the area and she was our school library aide years ago, and I ran into her at Kroger a couple weeks ago and it was good to see her. She asked for In the Garden. That's it for tonight's version of Hymns with Glenda. Remember, if you don't catch it on live, it's only up for 30 days. You can always watch it on YouTube, Hymns with Glenda. Thank you so much. See you next week.